Hi, so I'm Nicola Trenta, and I'm going to do something I haven't done before. To bring some people up to speed, I have a podcast called The Average Joe Wrestling Show, which I've been doing more or less the last year. And I've been talking with some friends about various wrestling topics and things like that. And it's been hard to keep up with it. Very, very hard to keep up with it. I have a 1 year old son, 18 months now, actually, a full time job. I don't know how podcasters do this with editing, and YouTubers do this with like videos and things like that. So I wanted to give a shot trying something a little bit different. I'm going to hopefully continue to have people on the actual show. But I want to try something visual as well. I don't have anything fancy here, as I'm sure you could tell. I just have my iPhone. It's not even the most flattering angle. I could clearly use a little bit of a shave here. No fancy lighting, nothing like that. I just want to, just for recreation, for fun, as a pro wrestling fan, just talk about a couple of things. And I'm really late with two of the things I'm going to talk about in this particular episode. But again, it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And who knows, maybe someone who come across this video and have some fun. So this is the Average Joe Wrestling Show. I'll leave a link in the description to my podcast version of this show. And I'm going to try just videos for a little while. Maybe down the line we'll combine the two. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But there were two passings recently in wrestling, Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. And I just wanted to talk briefly about the two of them. I guess I'll actually start with Terry Funk because I started watching him first, well before I knew about Bray Wyatt. And my first exposure to Terry Funk was this would have been probably late 97, early 98 when he came in as Chainsaw Charlie into what was then the WWF. I started watching wrestling, full time, so to speak, in late 1995. So I didn't know much about the history of it yet. Way back then, there were video stores, young people, and I would go and rent videos. A video store that was in my town had a whole wall of pro wrestling videos. So I learned a little bit about the history of World Wrestling Federation through there. But I didn't know really anything about WCW or the NWA or like any other organizations or anything like that. And Terry Funk has a long, interesting history. But my first exposure to him was as Chainsaw Charlie. And I remember watching the Raw that night and seeing the chainsaw come, through the box. He was in this like 7-foot box and he came out of there with a chainsaw and started chasing the New Age Outlaws. And he became a tag team partner with Mick Foley / Cactus Jack. And then I remember distinctly an email before all these websites and everything like that. I think there used to be email chains with like wrestling dirt news. And I remember getting an email and it had like a Q&A session and somebody asking, Chainsaw Charlie, isn't that Terry Funk? And that was the first time I heard the name Terry Funk. And it wasn't long after that they went into the actual backgrounds of Mick Foley and Terry Funk, and they started showing the footage from Japan and the death matches they had and all those crazy things. A friend of mine, his father's friend was, I think, a tape trader and somehow got a hold of the death matches in Japan. So we actually saw those at one point. I remember just like, even today, but particularly back then, but even today, like they're uncomfortable to watch because they're so violent. And I think even we were like, is this real, this one? It's amazing that these guys did this. Necessary? That's an arguable point, but definitely amazing. Anyway, I always loved watching Terry Funk. He was one of those wrestlers, as was Bray Wyatt, who I'll talk about in a minute, where whenever he came on TV, I made sure to watch. I wouldn't channel flip at that moment. I wouldn't do something else. I remember they used to call him middle-aged and crazy. And, I could be wrong about this, but I think at the time that I started watching him, he was only in his like 40s. And, nowadays it's more common for wrestlers to, go more into their older age in wrestling. I don't know why that is necessarily. Maybe the lifestyles are different. I really don't know. But as I grew as a wrestling fan and got into wrestling history, I'm really into wrestling history, which I'll talk about probably in the next video with the NWA. I learned a lot about Terry Funk and learned about his time in ECW and his general history, and always enjoyed watching him. And I was very sad to hear of his passing. And, prayers to his loved ones and family, of course, and to Mick Foley. What a great entertainer. And then the other one, which is a little bit harder to talk about, not that I knew him personally, but just because he was so young. He was actually younger than me, as Bray Wyatt. 36 years old. I'm 38, so it's always very weird to hear somebody younger than you passing on. First time I saw him was probably on Raw when he was Husky Harris, and reading that he was the son of IRS, Erwin R. Scheister. Their real names are escaping me at the moment, but I always liked IRS. And when I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, I could see that's his son. I always like Bo Dallas too, by the way. And I remember thinking, like, he was cool. He was another cool one to watch, even before he was the Bray Wyatt character. I remember very distinctly when they were doing the whole Nexus 2 thing with CM Punk, and they had the weird initiation thing where CM Punk was whipping him, and they took off his shirt, and I think he had like angel wing tattoos on his back, which was really neat. And then he went away for a long time and came back as Bray Wyatt. I know he did the Bray Wyatt thing in NXT. I didn't see that, but I remember the night that he finally debuted on Raw, and Eric Rowan and Luke Harper attacked Kane. And just from an actor standpoint, if you listen to my podcast and if you see any of my videos here on YouTube, you know that I'm also an actor. I mean, what an incredible actor and athlete. I mean, really, that's like the ultimate combination for professional wrestling, if they have the speaking and performing ability as well as the wrestling ability. And another one, just whenever he was on TV, it was great to watch. I remember when he finally won the WWE Championship. I don't recall the first one. I think it was the Lineage Championship from when WWE started. And then later on, I know he was Universal Champion. I remember him, I want to say that was Elimination Chamber, and he was like running his hand against the steel fence and everything as he was entering the ring, and he finally won. One thing I will say I hated that they did with his character was that they had him lose so much. I understand that, of course, it's not real, but in the context of it, being a legitimate sporting event, when I say it's not real, I say that respectfully. I know obviously they are athletes, and I'll go as far as to say they're the greatest athletes in the world with, predetermined outcomes. They're not trying to hurt each other, things like that. But the point I'm making here, if you're trying to tell me that a character is a credible threat, having him lose all the time doesn't make me believe that. And Bray Wyatt fell into that trap for a while, and then they repackaged him with the whole like Funhouse thing, and then the Fiend and like all this stuff. Just a fascinating performer to watch, and it was very, very sad to hear of his passing. So again, prayers to his loved ones and family, and the two wrestlers that'll be greatly missed. I mentioned Luke Harper before too, and so many others. I could do probably an hour-long video on all the wrestlers that I missed. But those are my thoughts on that, and I just wanted to share. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching. On to the next one.